Okay, so I just got back from a trip up north to northern Michigan, hitting the early king salmon run, and talking with some guys on social media. There's some people asking how to rig to fish for king salmon and steelhead. So people new to the game. There's lots of videos out there with ways that people rig up for this. So I'm probably not putting out anything new here. I just wanted to show you how I do it. With several different methods. So the first method I'm going to demonstrate is how I rig for the somewhat controversial chuck and duck method. This was what I used. I was at a very populated area, to say the least, this week, salmon fishing, and so shoulder to shoulder, fishing that I don't usually like to do, that combat fishing, but it was just kind of the situation I was in this week. And so chuck and duck, or bottom bouncing, was really the only way to go, because the other fishermen are so close to you that you don't have a long area to make a good drift with a bobber or swing flies for to get the aggressive streamer takes or anything like that. You pretty much have a 10-15 yard section at best that you're gonna float through. You're not really moving down river. You're standing in one spot, and there's enough fish that yes, you're going to floss some fish, you're going to accidentally foul hook some fish, but there was enough aggressive fish there that we had some good takes and nice clean eats, with these fresh king salmon. So this is probably the most popular method of fishing during the salmon run. Like I said, it is controversial. You are flossing a percentage of fish, a high percentage of fish. But it really is the best way to fish a small deep pool or a small section of river if you're in a crowded area. So with that being said, this is how I do it. So I typically run, and I don't have one of my spools here in front of me, but I typically run, obviously backing on my fly reel, and then a straight running line. I don't use a fly line normally for my chuck and duck bottom bounce rig. So probably the best, cheapest one is the Rio. I believe it's called Slick Shooter, in 20 to 30 pound. Probably I think the 30 pound is orange color. That's probably the most common one. Currently I'm using OPST's laser line because this rod also doubles as my two-handed swing rod with Skagit head and tips. So I've got the laser line on there for that, and when I want a bottom bounce, I just take off that OPST shooting head, Skagit head, and then I have my running line. So I have that running / shooting line then attached to my leader. And that's got a loop to loop connection. I'm not going to go super in depth on the knots. It's a little hard for me to tie it here like this with the camera by my chest, so I'll just give it my best shot and do it real quick. But the main leader line, I'm typically, ideal, especially for the conditions I was in with kind of murky water, heavy, fast water and big, fresh fish. Ideally, my main leader line would probably have been 20 or 18 pound test, and you typically want to go the length of the rod or shorter. So my switch rod is what I use primarily for this, is 11 foot. I'm typically looking at 8 or 9 feet for my main leader line. But the max would be that 10 or 11 feet. You get much longer than that, and pretty much all you're going to do is floss fish. That long leader just gets tangled up in their mouths and tails, and that's really all. You're going to floss more fish the longer the leader is. So I typically stick to a rod length or less, and I really like it in that 8 to 9 foot. So I do that loop to loop with a perfection loop. So I'm going to try and tie this on camera real quick if I can. Make one loop, make a second loop over the top in front of the first loop, and then bring your tag in between the two loops and kind of grab it, and then pull the second loop through the first loop, and then pull tight. Obviously wet the line before you pull the knot tight, and then pull it tight. This is like 30-pound test line, just, so it shows up a little bit better. But normally I was using 15-pound tests straight on through the whole rig because I didn't have anything heavier. But 18 to 20 pound for kings, in murky water isn't a bad thing. But typically, like 15-pound test is what I would normally use for this in clearer water. So that was all I had with me. But so perfection loop, this would loop onto your running line. And then we would go down from there, like I said, 8 or 9 feet. And here's where the real nuts and bolts of this rig come into play. So I've got my little box here that I carry on the river. The best way to do this is with a weighting system that moves freely on your leader line. If you have a fixed, most people will just put the split shot, a couple feet above their first fly, and that works. That gets you down, that'll get you hooked up, but you're gonna miss the subtle grabs. This especially comes into play steelhead fishing, where they're just sucking a fly as it goes by, like a trout would. Those real subtle takes with fixed weight, you're gonna miss your share of takes with that. With a floating weight, or not a floating weight, but a weight that can slide on your line, their take does not have to lift the weight or move the weight for you to feel it. You're gonna have a direct connection to the fly, and it's gonna work a lot better. You're gonna feel everything that hits your hook, and you're gonna catch a lot more fish. That's the single biggest thing out of this rig that differs from what most people, maybe on the river are using, where they're using fixed split shot to get down. The sliding weight is the number one thing that I'm going to go over, or that you're going to pick up from this video. Make sure you have a sliding weight when you're doing chuck and duck or bottom bouncing rigs. So to do that, I have the end of my leader line, the other end connected to the running line or fly line if you are using a floating fly line. I'm going to slide onto this just a regular snap swivel, just the eye of the swivel through the leader, and let that dangle. And then I'm going to get a little bead. I like these, pretty much the smallest clear bead I can find. I'm going to slide that on. That's going to keep, and then at this point I'll tie on a barrel swivel. The small ones like this here, get this kind of out in view. These are the Blackbird Steelhead barrel swivels. They're super small but super strong. These are the best ones. I don't think there's anyone out there that makes a better one. Anything that's as strong as this is going to be bigger, and then you're going to spook fish, you're going to get snagged up on things. These are the best ones, hands down. This line's going to be tough to tie a knot on this little barrel swivel, but I'll do my best here. So I'm just going to tie a straight clinch knot here just for the sake of this video. So never mind on the knot. Get my clinch knot tied. Always wet your knot. Again, real thick line, so don't mind the messiness of this knot. So anyways, I've got that on there. I'll snip the butt end off of this, tag end off of this. I'll try and get that other knot when I get to the smaller line, so that if anybody knows what it's called, they can let me know. So anyways, here we go. The end of the leader, I've slid on the snap swivel. That's what I'm going to attach my weight to. I've got a bead. The bead's purpose is to keep the snap swivel from jumping up onto the barrel swivel and becoming a fixed weight. You want this to slide free. And to that, I like slinky weights like this. pencil lead is good. I ended up using some bass fishing drop shot weights on here just because I had ran out of all my slinky weights that I had on the water with me. So these the drop shot weights work. That's obviously kind of expensive because you're not expecting to lose a bunch of these. But that was what I had on the river after the slinky weights ran out. So all you're gonna do is attach your weight to that snap swivel, and then as you can see, that weight slides free. So now when a fish bites, it doesn't have to lift that whole weight or move that whole weight for you to feel it. This weight could be totally stationary, and if a fish bit it, because it can slide, you'd still feel that up, you know, through the tip of your rod, and you'd be able to set the hook. So that is the key to this whole setup. And then from here, we're going to attach our tippet and our flies. So, you know, typically off of this barrel swivel, you know, I'll go probably 2 feet, 1.5 feet, 2 feet, you know, sometimes more. In clearer water, you want a longer leader to get a little bit more separation from your weight. You know, so this is a little bit shorter piece, but as a general rule of thumb, 2 feet is what you're looking for here. And that will typically get the job done. And I'm still struggling with this thicker line and not having anything attached to it. So there's that knot there. And then I would tie my fly. And this is just a fly I was using on the water. The hook actually got bent out. Just an old fly that I had sitting around. I had lost all my other purple and pink egg sucking leeches. This was the last one in my bag, and a big fish bent the hook out during a fight. So purple egg sucking leech with a pink head is really good. I'm going to try and do this knot here now that I have a little bit more tag end. So again, this is a great knot. I've never had this knot fail. I do not know what it's called. So if you know what it's called, please let me know. But you put your tag end through the hook eye, you grab it with your other hand, and you kind of grab the bend of your hook, and you leave a bend here. Then I'm going to grab this kind of up over the leader here, put my finger through the loop behind, pull tight, twist around twice, and then grab the tag end and pull it through. Now you can see that there. I don't know if I missed any of that in the camera angle here. You're going to pull it kind of semi-tight, and that kind of sets your tag length so you're not wasting a ton of tippet. You're going to wet it and then let go of the tag end and pull tight. And what you really want to hear, and I don't know if we'll get it on here with this thick line, when you pull this tight, you know you got it right if you hear a snap, like a pop. And it's not a total requirement. You know, I've never had it fail even without that. But the way it was taught to me was you want to hear a pop. When you pull this tight, you'll hear one of the loops pop over your running line, or you know, over the leader line, and it makes like a snapping noise, and that's how you know you really have it seated well. I'm going to cut that off of there, and I'm going to run that one more time to see if I can get that tied right. Again, this is kind of thick line for this, so it's not cooperating fully. So I've done the loop, and through the eye I've left a little hump here. I grab this, I go over and under like this, behind this loop, and I grab it and I let go with my pinky, and then I'm going to wrap around twice, and then I am going to reach through that loop that is created, and I'm going to grab the tag end. I'm going to have to do that one more time to make sure it's on camera. Pull that tight with the tag, and then pull it down and pull tight. And then that knot has basically 100% strength. It's a small knot. It's a quick knot to tie. You can tie it with your eyes closed once you're good at it. and it never fails. So I would love to know if you know what it's called. Let me know. If you want a little bit more detailed, a better camera angle of how to tie it, I will do my best. I'm going to tie it here and try and do a little better keeping it on camera. Pull it through. You would wet it at that point, and then pull tight, and then cut your tag, and that knot's not going anywhere. Okay, so that's how you get your first fly. So just a little recap. We've got our loop-to-loop connection with a rod's length of leader to our running line. We slipped on a snap swivel that attaches to our weight and a bead to keep the snap swivel from going up onto the barrel swivel that we've tied onto the end of that rod length or less leader. Then our tippet, so typically a step down in size. So if you're using 18 pounds, you could go to 15 pound. If you're using 15 pounds, you could go to 13 or so to your first fly. So then that you got about 2 feet from that barrel swivel to your first fly, and that's going to change depending on water conditions. The clearer the water, typically the longer distance you're going to have of tippet there. And this was the rig I was running. I was running a 1-fly rig. Had about probably 15-20 hookups in a couple of hours, and 3-4 hours, and it was a great day just with 1 fly. Steelhead fishing, if there's a little bit less fish in the water, you want to get a little diversity. It's not a bad idea to attach a second fly to this rig. So to do that, you're going to tie onto the bend of this hook, and I typically do that with a clinch knot. So I kind of start it just in my fingers. I'll get my clinch knot started, improved clinch knot, sorry. So I'll get that going, and I'll kind of pull tight like this. I've left the loop here in my left hand. You would wet that knot and then slip this over the hook and then pull tight, and that would be how you would connect to the second piece of tippet. Some people are going to step down your weight of this again. So if you went 18 in the leader, 15 to the first fly, you might do 12 or 13 to your second fly. I've heard people, you don't want to do that, because they don't care if they lose 2 flies. They care if they hold a fish. So the idea behind that being, if I'm running 15 pound or 12 pound to my first fly, and that we think that is good enough for the conditions, thin enough and invisible enough to the fish, then go ahead and run that same 12, 15, 10 pound, whatever it is, to the second fly, because why would you put a weaker link in your rig if you already think that heavier pound test is small enough and invisible enough to the fish? So I will run typically straight. Whatever I run to my first fly, I'll run to my second fly. If I break off, then all I did was lose 2 flies instead of 1, but I'm going to keep a lot more fish on that 15 pound line running to both flies than I am if I step one down to 12 pound. Now I have a weak link there, and a fish that might have held on 15 pound is now gonna maybe break the 12 pound. So just different ways of thinking about it. If you're low on flies, then by all means, you hate re-rigging, step it down every step of the way so that you're always gonna break off just one piece of equipment, one fly, one swivel or one length of tippet, but just know that you are putting as you step it down, you are gonna lose more fish due to breaking off as well. So just pick your poison, I guess, with that. There's no perfect way. So then at the end of that second piece, so you'd go another 2 feet or so to your second fly, and you'd tie that on, and then now you're fishing. So that that's a pretty simple rig. But I don't see a lot of videos online with that specific setup where you've got a sliding weight with a bead on a snap swivel, ending your leader at a barrel swivel. So you're not going to get line twist. You're going to pick up all your hookups because of that sliding weight, the non-fixed weight. And you know, that's going to be really, really productive, both salmon and steelhead. One thing, if you are fishing steelhead, you know, so this salmon is mostly a salmon video. I am going to, you know, have some fish video at the end of this, you know, so that you have something to look forward to. A couple of the fish that I caught this week on this rig. With salmon, I'm typically, especially this early in the year, and they're not spawning, I'm running leeches on these rigs, egg-sucking leeches. So I'm running, typically if I'm running 2 flies, I'm doing purple with pink head and a second fly, which would be black with an orange head, almost exclusively. Like I said, this week I was just fishing 1 fly at a time. There was enough fish in the water. I did not need a second fly to try and pick up fish. I was switching back and forth between the two. Black and orange was probably the more productive one, but it was pretty even. But with steelhead, or once the fish are spawning and you are running 2 flies, you know, and you're running an egg fly with some other type of fly typically, so say for steelhead, an egg fly with a nymph, run your egg as the first fly, run the nymph as your second fly. So you're typically going to run an egg, and then off the bend of the egg, a small nymph. You know, what will happen is that egg being round, you know, will spin in the water and it will put action onto the nymph that's going to have legs and, you know, whatever other wavy materials it might have. That egg will impart action onto the nymph. So you want to run the nymph second. You know, usually the fly you want to have swim more is going to be the one you're gonna put second, I guess is the best way to put it. Whichever one has the most flowy materials, you know, run that one dangling at the end of your rig, because everything else in your rig is going to impart movement. If you put that swimmy fly in the middle, it's got something on either end of it anchoring it, so it doesn't have a lot of swim motion. So that's just a little tidbit. Put the thing that either is the lighter fly or has the most movement to it as your second fly dangling off the end of the rig. But that's that. That's a pretty simple setup, but deadly effective.